Oh my God, Charles, welcome. Well, I don't have my BCM hat still. God, welcome to the BCM podcast. I'm today's host, Brad. Welcome to the show. To my top left, I have Charles Blain. To my top right, I have Michael Searle. We're doing it on a Saturday morning, 7:40 a.m. local time. Where is local? Good luck finding that out, autists. And what else we got here? We need to talk about what? Y'all don't understand what?
We got to talk about hats.
We got to talk about hats. If you tweet this, not retweet, you have to tweet it. If you tweet this out, share this with your social media friends on Twitter, on X, then you will get a free hat. The one that Charles was wearing, the way that Charles wears hats, unsurprisingly. And what?
Yes.
And my apologies. You should probably not have put me in charge of sending the hats. Lisa, your hat is on its way. Brad, I don't know, maybe. Someday.
I mean, okay, whatever. I helped pay for the hats, but whatever. I guess I'll just hats look good on me, so you'd want someone like me wearing them out in the world and on the show so that people see how cool that they look, so that they will actually want to post this on their X feed. But whatever. Charles is squinting because he needs glasses, I suppose.
No, I was just in shock. I mean, I don't know who told you that, but we'll run with it for today's show.
Who told me what? That I look good in hats?
I just woke up wanting a chicken cutlet sandwich.
Every single woman that I've ever talked to. You want a chicken cutlet sandwich?
With some fresh mozzarella and some.
Gross. Never mind. I don't care anymore. All right. So we got some topics today. The United Healthcare CEO has gotten shot, as everyone is, as everyone knows by now, I think. The Texas legislature, that would be Dan Patrick specifically, is looking to ban THC altogether. That means even the little gummies that we get in the 7-Elevens nowadays, Dade Phelan, I don't think this has happened when we decided to talk about this, but Dade Phelan, the Speaker of the Texas House, has decided to drop out of the race.
Seriously?
Did y'all not know that? Did you know that?
I think he's kidding, but
and there was another one that I'm missing. What was it?
Gene Wu, your favorite.
Oh yeah, Gene Wu, the alleged communist spy.
Mm.
What's wrong?
Nothing. Don't.
What?
Nothing.
The Texas Scorecard, I think it was Texas Scorecard, has a whole write-up on it.
Yeah, there's a great digital marketing firm here in Austin, Texas called The Digital Advance, and they did an analysis of who tweets the most in the Texas Ledge.
Yeah,
Gene Wu, by far the most.
Yeah,
I could show you it, but
it's not surprising.
Charles, I'm just saying alleged because it's something that I read in a news story. I don't know that it's true. I'm not saying that it is true, but would you be surprised if he was?
It is true that it is alleged.
It's true that it's alleged. It's not true that it is true.
It's true that it's alleged.
Yeah. Come on, Charles. Go on. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, is that where we're starting?
I guess because you seem taken aback.
I really have many thoughts on it, honestly, because I don't know what the accusations specifically against him are. But what I will say is I've seen Gene Wu a lot of times criticize like Abbott and others who have come out and tried to put or propose the bans on Chinese nationals investing or purchasing land and stuff, as if these policies come from some far-fetched place, like there's no basis in reality. A couple years ago here in Houston, it might have been like 5 years ago now, it was when Trump was still president, so maybe 6 years ago. The Chinese consulate was burning documents in their courtyard because there was fear that like the U.S. government was coming in to like investigate, and they literally started burning stuff. And there was like the local news television helicopters circling the place, being like, "We don't know what's going on." And then when the fire department came, they were like, "You can't come in here." And then there was also that incident when a couple years ago, I think it was the New York Post or someone came across all those like Chinese communist spy hubs across the country. So like, it's not as though it's outlandish or unrealistic that there would be Chinese spies here. So I don't get why he has such anger towards legislation that prohibits Chinese nationals from purchasing things here.
I mean, most importantly, he's Chinese. So that's, I think, the most important evidence, right, Charles? So there's a Texas scorecard. Communist China and Texas. Gene Wu. It's a joke, guys. I know it's early, but y'all can like lighten up just a little bit. Should we go back? Should we go back to making fun of my hats or something? Would that make you feel more comfortable, Charles?
No, I just don't like. No,
you don't like.
I
what?
don't want to assign something to someone because of their nationality. I mean, because of
I know it's called a joke. Trump's back, brother. Like, let's just make some jokes.
All right.
You don't need to be woke about it. Communist China and Texas, Gene Wu's connections. Multiple suspicious connections exist between the elected state representative and the global opponents of self-governance. The Texas scorecard. This is from 2022, 2 years ago.
Sounds super legit.
I haven't read the article. I don't know what. I mean, I think I saw it when it came out. I just haven't read the article myself, or at least recently, to know what's in it.
Guys, look at this. The now closed consulate, according to Google Maps, is roughly 8 miles away from Wu's private legal practice. What more evidence?
This is the story I was talking about the consulate. This is the burning of the documents.
What more evidence do you need? It's 8 miles.
I need plenty more. Here, the impression I get from Gene Wu is that he's just a resistance figure, and not just resistance to Trump, just a resistance to anything Republicans do, and that's his claim to fame. And he posts wild shit on Twitter. So whether or not he's a Chinese spy, I don't know or don't care. I'm surprised that they chose him to lead the Democratic caucus because he's so unserious, I would say.
I think that he is serious, Gene Wu.
No, but if you watch TXLEGE, there are a number of Democrats who are a lot more effective for their districts and their voters because they're less offensive, and they're staking out a pretty different position as they have in the past with the Republicans in the House by appointing Gene Wu to lead the caucus. It signals to them that we're not playing on the same team anymore. We're not trying to get shit done. We're coming after you. That's what I see by it. And then with the speaker race, they're not going to have chairmanships. So I think it's going to make it a lot more adversarial rather than trying to work together to get stuff done.
Well, and that's what I would think is doesn't electing him, doesn't that indicate that they're shifting in a more progressive tone? Because he's a very, and so given the election results, you would think that they would have been like, well, maybe we'll put one of our more moderate members to kind of be the peace broker here, and not one of our flamethrowers. And so maybe they're just like, no, we're going to double down and fight even harder now.
Gene Wu, he now skeets on Blue Sky. Do you guys know that?
Is it called a skeet?
It is.
No, please stop it.
It cannot be.
That's what it's called.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
I'm getting on just so I can say I skeeted multiple times a day.
I skeeted him.
That's what happens, guys. They started calling it skeets, and my understanding is there's a lot of pedophiles on that website.
Have either of you ever been on Blue Sky?
No.
Me either.
I'm about to because I got a skeet.
So Gene is saying that Texas Democrats are done trading away Texas' future for nothing. Is it true that Texas Democrats get nothing and have gotten nothing?
They got those chairmanships.
No, that's not true.
Oh,
friend of Brad Swail, and I don't know of the show. Yeah, probably the show. Representative Salman Bojani was a freshman rep last year. He passed a number of bills that were really good for his district. It's not just culture war legislation. There's stuff for investments in mental health or in education or in a number of priorities that are for both sides. And if you're able to work with the Republicans as a Democrat, you're able to pass bills which are good for your district and good for your reelect.
Yeah.
So this is Texas House Democrats' new leadership here that Gene Wu has tweeted out. We got Gene Wu is the chair, Mihaela Plesa as the first vice chair. I don't know who Ron Reynolds is. Maybe you guys do.
Ron Reynolds is a state representative from Houston who 3 or 4 elections ago was reelected while sitting in the Montgomery County. Reelected while sitting in the Montgomery County Jail because he was charged with barratry, which is ambulance chasing. And it was a whole scheme where him and a friend would direct people who had been in car accidents to a specific doctor and lawyer. And so Ron Reynolds was in jail upon reelection, and then he was released to take office.
Interesting. Mihaela Plesa famously thinks that the state of Texas is going communist because of Greg Abbott and the Republicans. which is an interesting way to look at things. And Gene Wu is the chair. I think it's a pretty progressive Democrat leadership here in Texas.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
I guess they didn't learn the lesson.
What was the lesson from the last election?
Well, some people are saying the lesson to be learned was don't go too progressive because the middle doesn't like that. That's what some people are saying. I'm not sure it's exactly true.
Yeah, I don't know that matters at this point in Texas. I think that maybe they're looking at it as like, look, because when it comes to election time, they're all going to get reelected, mostly because they can just when they go back these Democrats, these progressive, Gene Wu's going to get reelected. Mihaela Place is probably going to get reelected.
Yeah, but Democrats think they're.
I think they're.
Sorry, Charles.
What?
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was just saying the Democrats think they're winning the state. Yeah, individually they'll win their districts. Plesa was in a pretty competitive district, but most of the districts aren't competitive. But they think they're competing for the state. The strategy to win the state is probably not to double down on Gene Wu, I would say.
Yeah, well, Gene Wu. I'm sorry that Charles. Was it Charles? Was it you, Charles, that said he was maybe allegedly a communist spy? Who said that?
No, I did not say that at all.
Said it? Who said it?
I think it was you. I think that was you.
I was reading a story, and you started talking about the consulate and burning papers, and I was like,
because my argument was I don't understand why. I mean, obviously he's towing the line there.
Charles, I'm relax. I'm joking. I know that I brought it up.
I know, but I was just going back and reiterating my point.
I have a wonderful idea.
What's up?
Let's have Gene Wu on the show.
I would love to talk to Gene Wu. I would be cordial. Go ahead.
No.
You were going to send a message to Gene specifically. I heard you say his name.
Gene, come on the show.
Yeah, Gene, come on the show.
Have you.
We can have fun with it. You like to tweet out and rib people and throw left hooks and all sorts of stuff on Twitter. We can do the same thing here. Just have a good time with it. Just four guys hanging out, having a good time. That's the way Charles likes it. All right. What's next, guys? We got to talk about I guess since we're talking about Texas, let's just keep it going. Dade Phelan drops out. Why?
Sure did.
Why did he do that? It's
short answer or long answer?
Well, I mean, from the perspective of, I think, your average Joe, it seemed like he was the favorite. Like, he seemed like he was going to win. Like, he had the Democrat support. Like, everyone was like, Phelan's going to get it again. Right? No? Am I wrong?
When? At what point? Maybe months ago or something. Not recently.
Well, does the average person that knows Dade Phelan's name, that pays, somewhat, not like a wonk, not you two goons, the average person, do they even know who the opposition is?
Well, if you know who Dade Phelan is, then you probably have some awareness about the speaker.
No, so many people know Phelan because of the Ken Paxton impeachment.
Like the average person just out there, you think?
No, I mean, the average person doesn't know where Europe is. All right.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you know who he is, you have some awareness. If you know who he is, you have some awareness.
I don't think so, but go on. Maybe I'm wrong.
We'll
do a poll.
I can't remember what your original question was anyway. What was it?
Why did he drop out? Who's the front runner now? What's happening in the Texas House? Are we back?
Well, today is the day.
Is Texas Trump country again?
Today's the day. But I mean, I assume, Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, that the Republican caucus is meeting to essentially select who their speaker candidate's going to be.
Oh.
I mean, not essentially to do that. Yeah.
What does Gene Wu and the Democrats have to say about that?
I don't know that it matters.
They're the United Party is what they say. Yeah, the timing of it was Dade realized he didn't have the votes in the caucus to get the nomination, so he dropped out rather than going into a big fight today about whether or not he would be the speaker. His only path was to promise a bunch of stuff to the Democrats and get a few Republicans to vote for him to pass that 50 plus one. What threshold? What is it? 76 votes? 76 votes.
Like that.
So instead of going into the caucus and fighting over the speakership, he decided to drop out. So now we have Dustin Burrows has emerged as a speaker candidate. And David Cook, who is the reformers pick. He has the support of, I think, 48, maybe 49 now Republican members in the House, which is more than half of the caucus. And he's looking like the favorite, I would say.
Cook?
But Yeah, but what's different is I don't think the speaker, whoever the speaker is going to be from the Republican caucus, cannot rely on Democrats anymore. I think that's the dynamic that has changed. And I think a lot of people, especially in the lobby class, thought it was going to be Phelan because they thought that the Democrats would vote for him. But I think any Republican realizes that's political suicide at this point.
A lot. I mean, there's a lot of pushback about Dustin Burrows.
I saw this
a lot.
I mean, Matt Rinaldi is pushing back. There was, I think, the Texas Scorecard. What's the editor's name there? The
Brendan Waltons.
What?
Michael Quinn-Sullivan.
Michael Quinn-Sullivan.
Yeah, I think that guy. I think it was him. I think him pushing back on it a little bit. Maybe they wouldn't like throw up in their mouth if he got elected, but maybe they're just like putting it out there like, hey, if you're going to get elected, you got to like actually be conservative about this.
Well, I mean, I think naturally Dustin Burrows was aligned with Phelan, and so if you opposed Phelan, you're probably going to oppose it. Like if you were a very outspoken opponent to Phelan, you're probably going to be an opponent to him. And I think Michael, if I recall, what I saw his tweet was about was there was this whole thing back during the Bonin era where they recorded, I can't even remember all the details about it, but there was like a meeting and somebody recorded. I don't know, Michael, do you remember the details? Because it's a little early and I have not had coffee. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So back when Greg Bonin was speaker, Dustin Burrows was the chairman of the Republican caucus. They had a closed door meeting, MQS, basically saying, we'll invite you into the club if you leave most of our House members alone, but here's a list of 10 people you guys can go after and try to primary. And MQS recorded that conversation. It was leaked to the press. It resulted in Dennis Bonin stepping down from his speakership, and there's still bad blood between the two groups over that. Is Dustin Burrows conservative? Yep. Very conservative.
He's very conservative, yeah.
Very conservative. So it's not ideological. It's more Dustin's good at politics, and he was chairman of calendars, which is one of the most powerful committees in the House under Dade Phelan. But he has been conspicuously quiet through this whole speaker thing until yesterday when the speaker dropped out.
Well, Attorney General Ken Paxton, no friend of Dade Phelan, everyone knows that, released a statement on the demise of Speaker Dade Phelan. Attorney General Ken Paxton releases the following statement on the demise of Speaker Dade Phelan. Phelan's legacy is one of betrayal, prioritizing Democrat interests over his own caucus, leaving Republican members exposed, attempting a shameful impeachment stunt, and consistently failing to deliver for the voters who sent him to Austin. His so-called leadership disqualified him long before this moment. And here's the good part. Here's the juice. It's worth the squeeze, guys. But make no mistake, the swamp isn't drained yet. Now the Austin establishment is rallying behind Dustin Burrows, a politician handpicked by Phelan and the Austin establishment to continue their reign of weak leadership and backroom deals.
So, like I said, if you oppose Phelan, you're probably going to oppose him. Some of the other commentary surrounding this, Scott Braddock put out something saying that Chair Burrows' promises to Democrats are leaking out. No school vouchers, no ban on taxpayer-funded lobbying. He would eliminate Democratic chairs. Other people said that that's not true. Representative Brad Buckley said he's had no stronger ally in school choice than Dustin Burrows. And then the Texas House Democrats unanimously opposed David Cook for speaker, but remained silent on Burrows.
Well, I've interviewed Representative Burrows, and I enjoyed that conversation. He seems like a conservative guy. Seems like he cares about his district. He seems, not like a Democrat shill. I don't know, though. I don't think he is. But it's interesting. What is the Austin establishment that Ken Paxton's talking about? What is that?
The lobby.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? Are
you asking to force the conversation, or do you really not know personally?
Who is the Austin establishment? When you're talking about the swamp, you're talking about Washington, D.C., man, the permanent state, the bureaucrats, the CIA, the FBI, all that stuff. What's the Austin establishment? What's the
same thing for the state level, the lobbyists, the bureaucrats, the agencies, the people who have been around and who stay around and who suck on the teeth of government.
Ooh.
TLR, some of the groups. But is Dustin establishment? Look, Brian Thornton tweeted out, "Death and taxes and the TXLEGE speaker is a rhino. Are three things that are guaranteed, right? You're going to pay." Their incentive is to always say that the speaker candidate is not conservative enough to try to pull it further to the right. So it makes sense that they would do that. Dustin's not going to trade school vouchers to the Democrats to get the speakership. I mean, that doesn't jive. And Brad Buckley, yeah, he's a rep, but he's also chairman of public ed, who's going to lead the school voucher or the ESA fight. So I think he would have his finger on the pulse on that one. And some of the Democrats said they would not vote for Dustin because of his war on cities, because he passed that Death Star bill last session. I don't know. I agree with the reformers and the people who are saying this about Dustin. I agree that whoever the speaker is should not give Democratic chairs. They should guarantee they're going to pass school vouchers, and they should get the majority of the support from the Republican caucus and not rely on Democrats. Because if you rely on Democrats, that means they're extracting a pound of flesh, and they don't need to do that. What needs to happen is the Republican caucus needs to be united around one person so we can get all our bills passed.
Yeah.
So
we'll see what happens today. I mean, we never know. Maybe Briscoe Kane comes out as the nominee. I mean, that probably won't happen, but you never know. He has my vote. My vote doesn't count, but
Briscoe Kane would be pretty tight for sure.
But they would say, let's say it was Briscoe instead of Dustin, they would be saying the same thing, that he's part of the swamp.
Well, unless he emerges the reformer candidate. But I do think that inherently, whenever you are that person, whether it's the speaker, whether it's the governor, maybe not the lieutenant governor lately, but you're going to be put in that position where you're opposed to folks who want reform, because you are always going to be in that position of kind of preserving. I don't want to say preserving the status quo, but like you become the establishment because you're there. Like that is who you are. And so I think you're always going to be in those two sides are always going to be diametrically opposed.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that either Dustin or Briscoe, using those two examples, are there to preserve the status quo.
No,
That's
I don't
the perception.
I guess I mean, how do you explain this? You are, so it's kind of like when you are an activist and then you run for office and you become elected, like you are now like the system. Like you are the system, even if you were still a reformer, like you're the system. And so that's what I mean by like you become the speaker. Like now you don't wake up every day trying to preserve the status quo, but like you are inherently quote unquote the establishment because of the position you now hold, kind of, and the interest that you're attempting to juggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Are we done with that?
Brad is.
No, you guys are on a roll. I don't want to slow your. I don't want to take you out of your focus. Y'all done?
We're done.
All right. Well, I want to apologize to everybody because we were not here last week, and I know that our many fans were disappointed. And it's not because of Thanksgiving, as people may assume, but Charles had a prior engagement. Not everyone knows that Charles is he's a musician, and here's a video of him singing.
Hey, Chicago, do y'all have a problem with me sitting down on the stage? Exactly. Snoop Dogg.
Why do you not like Snoop Dogg?
That's not Snoop Dogg.
No. Do you look? You look.
Exactly. Get the fuck off my dick, Snoop Dogg.
Why did you say that?
This is ridiculous.
I'm crazy because I'm always saying that, but my action ain't me dirty.
Your bulk is working, dude.
That is Dave Blunt's.
Right?
Huh?
What's your rap name?
I don't know what my rap name is, but that is Dave Blunt's, the 500-pound rapper.
Does he really do concerts from a couch?
So he used to walk. he added a lot more weight, and so at the Juice World concert or tribute concert, they rolled him out there and that's his girlfriend behind him.
That's
and
his
they rolled
girlfriend.
That's
rolled him out there.
That's an oxygen tank, Michael. He needs oxygen.
That is true love right there. Wow.
What's his name?
Dave Blunts.
Dave Blunts. Okay. Well, is he good? Do you like him?
No,
Why not?
just not my type of rap.
What does that mean? Not your type. What is your type of rap?
I mean,
Spice?
mostly.
That's not rap.
Ice Spice is like party
Yeah,
music. Ice Spice is not.
It's what?
Rap.
War music? Is that what you said?
I said party music.
Is it?
I like old school rap, not Dave Blunts.
Old school rap, not Dave Blunts. Okay, I don't like NWA.
They're all right, but I mean, like, yes, I do like NWA, but they're not like one of my particular favorites.
Well, the first time, Charles, that you missed the episode, I think you were in Berlin, and we played a video of a young woman who was talking about all the men that she slept with on. You sent it, right? You sent me this video. You say, hey, I met this girl, and I found her, and she was talking about all the men that she slept with on the dance floor. Well, I think that she's back, and she's trying to break a record. 1,000 men in 24 hours. This is Lily Phillips, male talent casting call, 18 and up only to apply. It's there. She wants to see 1,000 men in 24 hours.
What's that breakdown per hour?
That's a good question, actually. I don't know.
You don't have time to review applications if you're going to have 1,000 men in an hour, lady.
Well, you don't have an hour to review the applications. You have as much time as you want to review the applications.
That's 41 an hour. That's crazy.
That's kind of weird. Like, is it like, what are the how are you defining that you've slept with them? Right? Is it just enter and exit, and the next guy enters, exits, and that's 2? I don't know.
Well, right, 41 an hour, it's got to be.
I mean, I don't know.
She's only got 19 minutes to spare each hour, so there's not like a lot of extra time there.
So I think it's kind of, it's pretty gross that's where our culture is. Like, there's people out there that do this, and it's like, there's guys out there that are applying. You're applying to be the 1,000th person. Disgusting. You're really a gross person if you're applying.
Imagine being the one that, like, do you celebrate? Probably not. Like, but you also signed up for this, so like you wanted to do this. So you're the last person. Like, that's crazy. That's nuts.
I mean, it's like it's there's 1,000. Loads.
Yeah.
Once you get once you're up there, ugh.
Well, could it possibly be that she's engagement farming?
I think I think that she's for real. Charles knows her. He met her in Berlin.
I can't imagine that she's for real. Because, like, that's also probably, like, not, I mean, sure, sexual health, like, that's probably a problem. But, like, physical health, like, there's probably, like, something wrong. Like, you can't, I don't know.
Mental health, I think, is probably the biggest concern here. Mental
that
health.
too. But, like, I just don't know that, is it, like, I don't know. I don't know.
There's something, there's spiritual health, there's mental health, the physical health. Yeah. I mean, that's, you can always get repaired, tightened up, if you will. Right. But the spiritual health, the mental health problem that this woman is experiencing and the men that are going through it is, I wonder if you apply, do you know if you're going to be the first or the 1,000, or is it just like, hey, show up?
Is there a line?
I don't know. Is it when the N64 came out and there's going to be people like, camping outside for 24 hours? I want to be the first. I'm not.
Whatever this girl's name, challenge, you can't do it.
Lily Phillips is her name.
Lily Phillips.
I wonder if there's going to be people, if you need extras, like your goal is 1,000, but people are going to drop out. They're going to start throwing up. They're going to start vomiting. After like the 100th person, I can't go through with this. I'm going to leave. So they have like an extra 100 dudes just waiting.
I mean,
probably.
Sure. If her goal's 1,000, I'm sure she's got some spares. But I mean, it's always the British ones, isn't it?
I think she's Australian.
Oh, and her email said UK. I thought at the end of it.
Well, maybe she is. Yeah. How did you just see it, or do you already know it? Okay.
I saw it when you put it up. But
Mhm.
it's always British people. It's always British people.
Always, definitely. There's no American women that do stuff like that. Definitely not. All right. What's next? The United Health CEO. All right. So United Health CEO, I think we've all seen this by now, gets straight
Still
up.
got to show it. It's crazy. Yeah.
Okay, I'll pull it up. You guys start talking about it a little bit.
Well,
Can we play it on
unfortunately,
YouTube?
huh?
Can we play it on YouTube?
I don't know. I mean, I saw the video on Twitter and stuff. But anyway, so everybody knows this story. There's no reason to repeat it, but we're going to repeat it anyway. The CEO for United Healthcare was leaving his hotel at 6:30 in the morning, going to an investors conference in New York City, and an assassin.
The assassin says, "This is MAGA country." I think it's
And the assassin did this.
shoots him.
Yes.
Right in front of that other person. And doesn't shoot the other person.
But the other person is not the United Health CEO.
Good point.
Here's the thing. I have so many questions about this, but this is a company with a $370 billion revenue stream that comes in every year. So I think it's like somebody said something like the ninth, I don't know, ninth biggest company or something like that. How's this guy walking down the street without security? Why is he walking down the street without security? It makes no sense to me. No sense whatsoever. You run a company that is bigger than some countries. You have no security. You're just walking alone in New York City at 6:30 in the morning. I don't believe it.
Do CEOs of companies that size always have security?
Yes.
I wouldn't have guessed yes.
It's probably a mixed bag. It's probably a mixed bag.
I would imagine so. I mean,
I don't know this guy's name. That's probably why he doesn't have security. Like if it's Elon Musk, yeah, that's one thing. But who's the United Healthcare CEO?
What is his name?
It was Brian something. I can't remember.
Not only do I not know his name, I couldn't tell you what he looks like. So I'm sure he feels a little bit safe to walk around. But
Yeah, he's
your
not-
point's well taken. Your point's well taken. If had he had security, this probably wouldn't have happened.
Okay, I guess I was wrong. I just Googled it. Only a quarter of the companies in the Fortune 500 spend money to protect their CEOs and other top executives. I thought they all did. I don't know.
So Taylor Lorenz, everyone's favorite unhinged journalist from, I think she was at the Washington Post, I believe.
Yes.
She has skeeted on Blue Sky the picture of the Blue Cross Blue Shield CEO. In response to someone say, Blue Cross Blue Shield will no longer cover anesthesia for the full length of certain surgeries in Connecticut, New York, and Missouri, which is kind of fucked up. You would think that you would, if you're going to approve the surgery, you'd also approve the anesthesia. But still, you don't want to, that's kind of weird. And Blue Cross Blue Shield in Connecticut, another person talking about that anesthesia, and she says, and people wonder why we want these executives dead.
Oh boy.
Taylor, people have very justified hatred toward insurance company CEOs because these executives are responsible for an unfathomable amount of death and suffering. As someone against death and suffering, I think it's good to call out this broken system and the people in power who enable it. So it's kind of interesting that Taylor Lorenz is talking about that.
This man wasn't sitting at his desk denying claims. Like, that's not what he did on a day-to-day. Like, sure, you could be upset about it, and I think people are rightfully upset about some of the claims that their family members have been denied through United. But, like, at the end of the day, this guy's a guy with 2 kids and a wife. And, like, he was clapped in the middle of the street in New York City. And that's it. Like, and now people are just posting, like, yeah, good, down with him. Like, I don't know.
He was clapped?
CVS has removed all their executives off of their website so that their pictures and names off of their website so that out of an abundance of precaution, FYI.
Have we learned anything about this guy? Because is the assumption that this was some random guy who was mad that the CEO or that United Health?
I don't think the assumption is that it was random.
No. Just like some person who was like pissed off about insurance claims not being approved and people dying, and he's like, I'm just going to go kill the CEO. Or was it somebody? Is this guy hired? Like, is this a hired gun? Which means there's somebody with money wanting him killed. I think that's a pretty big difference.
I've seen people analyze the video gun nuts, if you will, and they're saying this doesn't really look like a professional person.
Interesting.
But I mean, I guess it could be just a low rent professional, maybe.
So, well, if it's a low rent professional, you're not getting out of New York City without they still can't find this guy. They suspect he's left the island, but they don't know that for sure. And so, like, if you're a low rent assassin, I don't think you can outsmart that many people that fast. So you've got to be pretty good at it. The bullets did have depose and deny written on them, which could be to throw you off or not. I don't know.
There's a book that has that same title, right?
Yeah, but apparently it's a phrase that's well known within, I don't know if it's like the insurance community or something. I don't know. I remember hearing it, but it's like a phrase that's kind of well known. But what I did see was that there was a discussion about, well, you know, a lot of times or sometimes with these things, you don't want to get tunnel vision because you might, in terms of investigators, because you might be looking at this as an assassin who's coming because he was hired by whomever, but really it could have been set up to make it look like it was an assassin based on his job, where maybe it was his estranged wife who hired someone, or maybe somebody even suggested on the news that maybe he hired it himself for insurance, life insurance purposes, or because there was a potential down the line of.
I don't think his life insurance covers hiccups.
Of course, his life insurance would.
I don't think it does. I don't think it covers that.
What do you talking about?
It's being denied.
And so, or because maybe he was under investigation for something and didn't want to deal with that. They were saying that there have been stories of CEOs who have hired their own for that reason. I don't know. I mean, it's just crazy to me, though, that you can have somebody in New York City, one of the most closely surveilled cities in the world, and this man can shoot you and get off of the island without being found.
How is it closely surveilled? Are there cameras everywhere, you mean?
Yeah.
Like public cameras or private cameras?
Both.
Really?
Like the one that just caught the video?
Well, that could be a private camera. That could be like the camera from the building.
Their public NYPD has public cameras all over. Their private cameras all over in every intersection. I mean, yeah, they've got other footage of him, and I think they've got the documented city bike that he used to get to Central Park. They found the bike. I'm sorry, not the bike. They found a bag in Central Park that belonged to him. They've got videos of him at Starbucks, and like they've got not a lot, but other footage of him.
So here's the claim denial rates by insurance company. The industry average is 16%, which, I mean, I don't know. Does that sound good or bad? I'm not really sure. But all the way at the bottom, the most, United Health, 32%.
So you're saying he deserved it?
No, I'm saying that they're making a lot of, that's not good. That seems kind of high. And they're making a lot of enemies. Could they cover more? I don't know. I have no idea what the claims are that they're denying. But when you read stories like you're not going to cover the full anesthesia of a surgery. That wasn't United Health. That was Blue Cross Blue Shield. That seems weird, right?
Okay, Brad Lorenz.
Huh?
I said, okay.
I'm not saying that these people should die. You dum dum. I am the father of a special needs kid, Charles. And we have a lot of healthcare costs, and we deal with insurance on a regular basis, and insurance denials and all sorts of stuff, and all sorts of shit. It's a pain in the ass.
So what's the answer here?
Why? What's the answer?
Yeah, are you going Bernie Sanders on me right now, or what? What's
Bernie Sanders' solution?
Public health care.
Put all companies up against the wall because he's a communist?
No, he would say, and Taylor Lorenz would agree that we should pay for it, the taxpayers, so that these claims aren't denied.
Well, Taylor Lorenz is saying that she doesn't like pain and suffering and like the deaths and all that stuff. But I mean, why would you put it in the hands of government then? They kill so many people and cause so much suffering, and they'll do it too. They'll deny shit all the time or put it back. That's not good. Government, that's not gonna fix it. What's my solution? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that there needs to be some people need to look at why the insurance companies deny so much. Why is, not United Health specifically, but why is the industry average 16%? Why have the premiums gone up? I don't know, like what, twofold or something like that since Obamacare? Why is that happening? Why is health insurance so expensive? What's going on here? Should we allow more competition? Should we reduce regulation? I don't know. But we should look at it because people are pissed off.
Part of the reason is because it's mandated under the Affordable Care Act or
Uh-oh.
Obamacare, you have to have it so they can charge higher rates.
Uh-oh. You're talking about Charles's boy there.
As an aside, the phrase that we were talking about, it does say it's the phrase delay, deny, and defend is a popular phrase about the insurance industry because of obviously that's what they do with claims. And a post by United Healthcare's parent company mourning his death received 82,000 reactions as of Friday. 76,000 of those were laughing emojis.
Wow.
Crazy.
People don't like people don't like insurance companies.
I think they don't like that probably because people like Bernie Sanders.
How interesting is it though? Do you think, and this is kind of an aside, and a cultural commentary for a second, do you think that this kind of feeds into the natural inclination of like the American public today and like opposing the institutions, if you will, and opposing the status quo as we've seen in this recent election? Now you're saying 76,000 out of 82,000 responses were laughing at this man's death. Do you think that's part of the same thing, or do you think this is just something completely separate?
Both. It's part of it. I'm sure it's part of it.
I just think at the end of the day, we have to remember there's a human being behind all of this, and he's now dead, and his children have to deal with that, and his wife, and it's sad. You know, if I'd be pissed if this was my dad and I went on social media and saw everybody posting laughing emojis about his death. Like that's like, and his kids are rather young. They look like they're under the age of 18. So, I mean, it is what it is.
They look like they're under the age of 18 is a really big window.
Well, that's young.
I mean, do you mean that like they look like they're 15 or they look like they're 2?
Well, no, they definitely look like they're maybe between the ages of 15 and 17, I guess. 18.
You have an eye for that sort of thing, you creep. All right. So I found this interesting as I was sort of looking around about this. And so the Blue Cross Blue Shield calls off decision to cap anesthesia for surgical patients, which I think is great. Good for them. And someone, Peachy Keenan on Twitter, says, don't do that. Almost no one knows about one of the worst things I ever found out about doctors, which is that they literally, up until the 1980s, many doctors and surgeons didn't believe infants felt pain. And thousands of American babies were subjected to open heart surgery and more with zero anesthetic. Happened in the 80s. And then she did a Google. The American Academy of Pediatrics formally declared it unethical to operate on newborns without anesthetics in 1987. In the past, infants undergoing heart surgery and other procedures often did not receive anesthesia or analgesia because it was believed that they could not feel pain and that it didn't matter. Whoa.
That was crazy.
That was when I was born.
Wow.
That explains a lot about you.
That I was born in the 80s?
Nope. That they didn't use anesthesia.
On what? I had surgery in the 90s. I had heart surgery in the 90s. Luckily, it wasn't.
You?
Yeah, I did.
You remember he had that condition that he had to put his head in ice
That's
water?
right.
Look at that, Charles. Wow.
See, I care about you.
I doubt that, but you at least pay attention or taking notes to come get me.
That is crazy. I didn't know that. I mean, how do you perform an open heart surgery on a baby without anesthesia? Like, it seems kind of crazy.
I mean, do they just go into shock and so they stop screaming? Like you would think.
Yeah,
probably they pass out.
My God.
Probably. That's psycho.
Eesh.
I didn't know that either.
I don't think they do it with circumcision even today.
Ugh.
I think they just cut it, lop it.
Yep. Just
Whoop, whoop. You know?
ow.
I guess it's a good thing what happens when you're a baby and not an adult for most people.
It's probably not a good thing that it happens.
Well, I guess that's up for debate. Depends on where you're set.
Is it up for debates?
Well, they're still doing it, so yes, it must be up for debate.
Debate me.
You don't even know which side of the issue I'm on, so why would I debate you on it?
Go ahead.
I'm not having a debate.
Why?
Because I'm not. This is not.
You want to mutilate genitals? It's all right.
This is not an issue that I'm deeply concerned about.
You should be deeply concerned about it as a man and as
if it happened already or did not happen already.
Society. What?
If it did or did not happen already, then it would be my decision moving forward whether it did. So if I chose not to, then why would it matter? It doesn't even matter.
You don't care about the people around you?
He's trying to bait you, man. He's trying to bait you. I have a 5-month-old son. We did not elect to circumcise him.
I was wondering about that. Good for you, Michael.
Were you wondering about that?
Yeah, because I care about those around me, the people that I love, and I care about what they do with their children, especially something as horrific as circumcision for no fucking reason.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
Charles, I care about people.
there are reasons that people cite for doing it.
Dumb
but-
reasons.
Yeah, maybe.
What do you mean?
It was my choice. She let me decide.
That's right. My
And,
body, my choice.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
that's not
yeah.
his body, so it doesn't really apply there.
It's just it's in this case, it's just a clump of cells, right? Am I right, guys? Yeah, I didn't circumcise my two boys either, and I mean, you'd be surprised at the pushback you get when you make that decision. And I think it's more popular today. My oldest is 10, and I think it's changed even in 10 years. Like it was kind of like out there 10 years ago. Oh my God, you're not? No, why would I do that?
Yeah, I do think it had the perception has changed a lot in the past couple of years. I think it's those guys that would go stand out there with blood on their crotch and the signs being like, "Stop it."
Yeah. Was that a thing?
Yeah, you never saw that? Yeah, they would protest. They would put blood there and like signs like "Stop male circumcision."
People get passionate about it, and I'm not knocking any parents that have done it, right? Because I think that most people, especially I don't know, whatever 20 years, like in the past, it goes in waves from popularity in the United States. And your doctor is coming. You just had a baby. Your doctor's telling you all this stuff, and it's just sort of normal. And you just do it, and you don't really think about it. The doctor tells you it's fine and it's necessary and it's going to help. Whatever. And you just trust the doctor. I'm not blaming anybody for doing it, right? I'm just saying now that you've heard, hey, it could be pretty horrific, and maybe you shouldn't do it. You should look into it. Do your own research. Debate me, Charles.
I'm not debating you on this issue. I do not care that much.
Oh God, why do you hate men?
It's your decision.
Are you a misandrist?
Let kids decide themselves.
Let kids decide themselves.
Most would probably decide no, because then they would have to decide as an adult.
That's an argument for transgender surgery, Charles. Are you for transgender kids? Let the kids decide.
That is you know what? Next topic.
You can't undo it. You could do it later if you wanted to, but you can't undo it. Or could you?
No, probably not. I mean, we have had a lot of medical advancements.
You could save it, just save that little piece of skin, put it in ice or whatever.
Back on whenever you need it.
When your son's 18, you give it to him. You're like, hey, if you want to reattach it, here it is.
Do well with it.
About THC in Texas.
Yeah.
Governor Dan Patrick. He's the leader of the Senate here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He rules the Senate with an iron fist, is my understanding. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay.
Yes, and for those who don't know, THC stands for tetrahydrocannabinol.
If only Charles knew how to pronounce it. And so he has Senate Bill 3. So my understanding is that the number matters. That
sure does.
The lower the number, the higher the priority, right? Yep. And he wants to ban all THC in Texas, even those little gummies that we get at 7-Eleven. So,
There's no we here.
What do you mean?
We get it. You said we get it.
Are we and the royal we people in Texas?
You and others.
Yeah, I don't get that shit. No way. Gross. Go on.
You were talking.
Call me a pothead some more. Go ahead.
You're just calling Charles a trans
because he
groomer.
The argument is the kid's choice.
You want to go on this one, Charles, or me?
No, you can. I mean, I think it's dumb. I just don't understand why I don't often find myself on the same side as Sid Miller, but I am on the same side as Sid Miller. I just don't understand.
Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick launched a major legislative initiative to ban all THC. Everyone knows that agriculture is part of the fabric of Texas. In 2019, the Texas legislature passed House Bill 1325 by Rep. Tracy King of Uvalde to bolster agriculture in Texas. Part of that bill allowed for commercialization of hemp, which might include unremovable, non-intoxicating trace amounts of Delta-9 THC. Senate Bill 3, which will be carried by Senator Charles Perry of Lubbock, will ban all forms of THC and keep these unsafe products off our streets. We are not going to allow these retailers to circumvent the law and put Texans' lives in danger. This bill will have broad bipartisan support in the Senate, and I trust the House will also see the danger of these products and pass this bill with overwhelming support so it can become law immediately. Since 2023, thousands of stores selling hazardous THC products have popped up in communities across the state, and many sell products, including beverages, that have 3 to 4 times the THC content, which might be found in marijuana purchased from a drug dealer.
Has anyone ever, like, has someone died from this? Like, I don't understand why we're doing this. And also, this is 2 things. One, passing this bill puts a ton of people out of business, a ton of small business owners who own these smoke shops who have invested their own money into doing this. And so I'm sure there's a lot of lobbyists getting ready to make some money. But nonetheless, you're about to put a lot of Texans out of business because of quote unquote feel good legislation, which I don't even know why it makes you feel good. And then 2, now you're just driving people back into the shadows of buying drugs at trap houses rather than going to nice establishments that can be regulated and are well lit and are in places of business that, you know, are less sketch than they might otherwise. Huh?
What's a trap house?
You know what a trap house is.
I want you to. What's a trap house to me? A different trap house for you, man.
Is it? Like, what would a trap house for you be?
You grew up in disgusting New Jersey.
A trap house is a house. It's where you go get drugs, and sometimes you hang out and do the drugs there, or other things involving drugs.
You hung out and did the drugs.
I never said I went to a trap house. But like, you're pushing people to places like that. It just, I think it's just stupid. It just doesn't make any sense.
Earth to Dan Patrick. Bans don't work. When have they ever worked? Look back at the history of our country and us attempting to ban things. How has that worked?
Well, prohibition
worked. Oh, prohibition worked great. That's the first thing. You got to treat this like any other, like sin industry. It needs to be regulated. You need to have prohibitions on kids being able to purchase it. You need to keep them away from schools, like put reasonable regulations on them, which the industry and others tried to do, but they did not pass in past legislative sessions. Don't ban it. Like Charles said, it's just going to drive it down. It's just going to drive it to a black market. People are still going to get it. That's my first criticism. The second thing is deadly. Nobody has ever died from THC in the history of the world. Never happened. People die all the time of drugs or of alcohol, and we don't ban alcohol. We regulate it. So let's do the same thing here instead of this, I don't know, kind of weird social conservatism push to ban it because you don't like it morally or whatever. But I think it would be a much better approach for the Senate and the Lieutenant Governor to put some regulations on it, see if those work. And if they still don't work, then maybe some more heavy-handed stuff would be appropriate. But I think you could address many of the issues they're seeing with some, more smart regulations.
Do you think that Dan Patrick believes that THC is a gateway drug? Because after all, you go to a trap house to get this THC, and then you sit there and you do the THC, and then maybe the drug dealer offers you something else. Hey, you feeling kind of down from that THC? You want an upper, and all of a sudden you got white powder all over your nose.
Does he believe that? Probably. Does that actually happen? Do people go from freaking weed to crack? Usually not. Usually it doesn't just jump like that. Usually
all of those gateways, all of those gateway studies are kind of the way they were designed, where it was not really that accurate. It basically asked people, if you have done cocaine, have you also done weed? And many people who have done harder drugs also did weed. Doesn't make it a gateway. It just means that they've done both.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy that Dan Patrick's doing this. It doesn't seem like things have gotten worse because of the THC. I feel like we have bigger problems in Texas, that maybe we should focus on. I don't know why this is SB3. Maybe lower priority. I don't know. What's SB1? Do we know?
The budget.
Always the budget? Boring.
Yeah, SB2 is school choice, and then SB3 is this.
What? That goes to show just how important this is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The budget being SB1, I guess it sounds boring, but I guess whatever. The budget's important. Fine. School choice, right? We've been trying that. They've been campaigning on that for decades. So finally, that's a priority. And then THC products, gummies, guys.
It's ridiculous.
Damn, Patrick, cut me some slack here, brother.
Come on now.
I'd love to see an economic analysis of how many people this would put out of business, how much sales tax revenue will be lost, how all of the things.
I think the number I read was 50,000 people are related to this industry, and it's like an $8 billion industry in Texas.
And it hurts farmers downstream because if you limit what can be sold, you're going to hurt the production of the crop. So it's hurting everybody. He tries to hedge it in that first statement, saying we support the farmers, but no, you don't, because if you're limiting their ability to sell their product, then they're going to need less to grow less and make less money. It's all bad.
Well, a while back, we're going to switch gears here as we close out the show. A while back, we had a little debate. Which city is more ghetto, Austin or Houston? And what did you say, Charles? You said Austin was more ghetto?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it was actually a debate as much as it was a acknowledgement, but yes.
I can't imagine that anybody agrees with you besides crackheads in Houston, which goes to sort of my point that only crackheads would say something like that. But Austin makes top 30 most sinful cities in America. Ugh. God,
okay.
Austin is the 26th most sinful city in America for 2024, according to a study by Wallet Hub. More than 180 U.S. cities were compared using 37 indicators of vices and illicit behavior. THC gummies, Dan Patrick, that's probably in there. The data ranges from violent crimes per capita to excessive drinking and the number of entertainment establishments per capita. God, Charles.
Sounds like Austin is the most ghetto city
to make the list. Houston is the second most sinful city in America. Oh, I'm sorry. What is that? Houston, number 2.
That's bunk.
Oh, that's bunk. Well, that's bunk.
Does it weight it for population, or is it just total volume?
Yeah, I bet you it doesn't even weight it for population.
I'm sure it's per capita. End up look at the most sinful cities. I'm sure it's per capita. Let's look at Houston. Houston is the second most sinful city in U.S. Well, Las Vegas is Sin City. Come on. Yeah. With the 5th highest number of adult entertainment establishments per capita and some of the highest Google search interest for terms relating to pornography. Charles, strip clubs and affairs? Charles. Houston also has the 22nd highest violent crime rate in the country and the 30th highest number of aggravated assaults per capita. So it does take into account population size. It also had the 7th highest number of mass shootings between January 2022 and July 2024. Houston also has the 19th most drunk driving fatalities per capita, the 8th highest share of residents with gambling problems, Charles, and some of the highest Google search interest for plastic surgery. Why does that make you sinful?
I got to see the rest of the list to see if it's credible.
More often.
It's not credible, Michael. Throw it out. Throw it out. Throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Who's 3, 4, and 5?
3 is Los Angeles. Atlanta is 4. Philadelphia is 5.
6?
Denver.
Denver.
Where's Portland?
Portland,
Oregon.
Portland, Oregon. I'm going to look it up. I don't know. I'm scrolling through. I don't see it just yet. But it's not in the top 50 so far.
Oh boy.
Wichita, Kansas is 51. Makes sense.
Wichita Falls, Kansas.
Wichita,
Kansas is number 51. Calm down.
This list is stupid.
Well, I'm sorry that you lost, but
well, this has been a great show. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh,
Charles is signing off.
Portland
what number?
Portland is number 24.
24.
Why did you want to know about Portland?
Because Portland, I believe Portland has the most strip clubs per capita or the most strip clubs, period, something like that, and the most breweries. Because it rains all the time, there's nothing to do other than drink beer and go look at strippers.
Drink beer.
And then on top of that, everything that's happening on the streets in Portland, Oregon. So
this list has 182, and the least sinful is Columbia, Maryland.
That sounds like a nice town.
Cape Coral, Florida, number 177.
It's actually pronounced
Laredo, Texas, 171. That seems off. Laredo's, Eek. Hey. All right. We're at an hour, guys. It's been a pleasure. I really love speaking with you guys, especially on a Saturday morning. Come on. What a great way to start the day.
What else would we rather be doing?
Nothing.
God, nothing. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, share with your friends, tell your moms, dads, uncles, brothers, sisters, friends, all of them. Tweet it out so you get a hat. Charles or Michael will eventually send it to you. Hopefully he doesn't treat you like he treats me. And thanks for listening. I really appreciate it, guys. Have a wonderful day.